Happiness through curiosity on the Ranveer Show.
So I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan.
Yeah.
And I actually think that a lot of the stuff he says is deeply spiritual.
Yeah, he's a spiritual guy, but he won't ever push a faith on anyone.
Right.
But I think he is spiritual without saying he's spiritual. I think in action he's spiritual, if that makes sense.
Right? He's a kind guy.
Yeah, just he's the most principled person I've ever met in my life.
Do you mind if we speak about him a little bit?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Because you know how I feel about him. I told you
yeah.
over the course of the last 3 days, like, I genuinely consider him my content guru.
Yeah.
And probably my life guru because I've listened to him so much.
Here's a great story about what kind of guy Joe Rogan is. This is the first time I ever met him in person. Never said a word to him. Andrew was filming his comedy special, Infamous. Was just like filming it. Joe Rogan goes, watches the show, comes backstage after the special, sees me. We've never said a word to each other. Huge smile, gives me a genuine hug, talks to me, locks in on me for like 4 or 5 minutes. We're talking. And obviously, this is 2021. I didn't have much of a profile. I wasn't selling tickets. I hadn't put out a comedy special. I'm a guy that could do nothing for him. Gives me genuine attention. And the only time he breaks the attention is when another comic who's even lower than me at the time walks by. Joe Rogan, black guy for what it's worth, if anybody thinks anything about Rogan, but he goes, Derek, gives Derek a big hug, then talks to him for a minute and then comes right back to me. Derek Poston, very, very, very funny comedian, but at the time, Derek couldn't do anything for me. He certainly can't do anything for Joe Rogan, but Joe greeted two people that could do nothing for him with massive hugs, genuine conversation, genuine attention. And what do they say? If you want to know somebody, see how they treat people who can't do anything for them. That's Joe, right there. Like, I'll always remember that. And this is before any of the controversy with the N-word, blah blah blah. And just truly like warm energy, warm spirit.
I know that when someone has a really sharp and intense opinion about Joe Rogan, they've usually not seen more than about 5 or 6 episodes.
I don't even know if they haven't seen episodes. They've seen Twitter clips cut up to make them think what they want to think.
Yeah. Unless they have a positive opinion of Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you have a sharply negative opinion of him.
Yeah. Do you think he'll ever stop the podcast?
No, I don't. I think he loves it, man. He genuinely loves it. Like this is what I was telling you off pod. He only pursues things he's passionate about. Even on the podcast, he's going to talk about things he's passionate about, and he'll obsess over those things in a good way, and that's what he'll talk about. He's super principled. He's not going to pursue anything if it stops being fun for him, if it's something that is a money, like he makes a ton of money off the podcast, obviously, but he wouldn't do it for the money. He would either do it for free or make a lot of money because he would do it for free. Does that make sense? He's not going to do something. He's not going to keep podcasting because there's money in it. He's just not that guy.
What's it like doing a whole episode with him? Like, what do you feel at the end of the 2 hours?
Exhausted. Because Joe gives you full attention. Like, you're giving me a lot of attention right now. Joe will lock in, make eye contact the whole time, and he's a professional. He's one of the greatest talkers on earth. So you're like, in a genuine conversation, a normal conversation, generally you'll zone out a little bit. You can't do that. With Joe Rogan's giving you his full attention, you better give him your full attention back. This is Joe Rogan. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars. He's got tens of millions of listeners, and he's giving you his undivided attention for hours on end. If you don't match that, you are doing a disservice to a guy who's doing a lot for you. You know what I mean? But most of us aren't trained at doing that. We kind of zone in and out. We kind of look wherever. So you walk out of that being like, holy like I just got out of a fight. I'm tired. But it's the least you can do for him.
What's the energy of the studio like?
I think it's like a focused calm, I guess, probably, if I had to guess. I hadn't thought about it like that. But yeah, you go in, he gives you a big hug, you talk for a couple minutes. Then whenever you're ready, you go in, you just do the pod, put on the headphones, a little small talk, let it rip, and just go. Put my phone upside down, or put my phone face down. I don't want any interruptions. But yeah.
What happens after the shoot?
We both times gave him a hug, took a picture. Both times he said that was great, which was such a relief. When he said that was great, I was like, oh, thank God. If nobody else likes it, you like it, that's a massive win. And then I just kind of left both times. There was a car waiting, and I didn't want to keep the driver waiting super long. The episodes went kind of long. I think the second time we hung out for like 10, 15 minutes. But I'm also like very cognizant of like, I don't want to waste this guy's time. maybe too cognizant. Maybe like I was with the Ambanis where I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. Sometimes I could be a bit too shy with that when I already know you're doing me a favor. So I kind of just let Joe be. I try not to text him unless I have like I'm going to, what an impact you had on him. I think I would like for him to know how impactful he is. So I'll probably hit him with that.
Bro.
I saw the trailer for his new special. I thought that was awesome. So I texted him that. Like I'll text him little stuff like that, but that's it.
As YouTubers, as podcasters, who do you turn to? You gotta.
It's not even a question.
You can only turn to like the older guys.
Yeah.
He is like literally the cause of podcasting in the world.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
If I think I'm doing badly in a certain phase of podcasting, my solution to that repeatedly over the last 5 years is listen to a lot of Joe Rogan again and see the degree of evolution that guy has reached in his questions or his knowledge levels. He's such a knowledgeable guy.
It's unbelievable.
Right?
Andrew says this all the time. The most impressive thing about Joe is his recall and retention. Anything he's read or heard, he can recall it with perfect accuracy. It's insane.
Have you just hung out with him? You have hung out with him, right?
I've hung out with him a little bit. Again, I try not to be like in his way, but like he had me on the show at the comedy club, at the mothership. So we were hanging out a little bit backstage. Again, intense guy, very focused, he loves stand-up, which I think is awesome, to be doing it for 30 years and have all that money and all that power and still be like, no, I love stand-up and I'm going to work hard at this thing. He doesn't half-ass it. You'll see comics that half-ass it. He's not one of them.
I'm going to say something super vulnerable, man. Like I'm going to be really transparent to you. I have visualized this phase of my life. Mm-hmm. It's this one specific visualization where I'm walking next to Joe Rogan in the Himalayas. And I've visualized it a lot. And I feel this country has so many whack secrets which you really need to seek out. Mm-hmm. Like there's these cities which are becoming popular travel destinations now. But if you visit them, the narrative is that India is unhygienic and disorganized. And that's true to a degree. But it's getting better on both fronts.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a phase where India becomes travel friendly. Mm-hmm. So people are willing to come here and explore their own minds. Like this is an extremely stimulating country.
Joe would he's probably been, but he would love India and he wouldn't care about any of that. I think the issue with him is just time. 4 podcasts a week, right? 52 weeks a year. I don't know when he's taking a vacation that's not shows. I'm sure he has. I just don't know.
Does he record things and then release it?
Typically for me, it's come out the next day. Both times, I think, the next day.
The things he says about the world and how he perceives the world, I feel...
He has a very Eastern view on things, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Without trying to, without forcing it, he just has a very Eastern view on things. Which is, again, people have a very different view of what he actually is than what he actually is.
Bro, what's an Eastern view on things versus what's a Western view on things?
I wouldn't be surprised if Joe believed in reincarnation. I don't know if he does, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like that, he's very spiritual in that sense, I think. Again, he's not like annoying about it like some people, but I do believe he's like that. I think he believes I think he believes in, got him, like you put out good energy, it comes back to you. I think he believes in that. He's like, he overpays relative to every other comedy club. He would never advertise this, but he pays way more than every other comedy club to the comics, to the doormen, to the employees, to the security, everybody. He just pays, he tips like crazy whenever he goes somewhere. And I think he believes you just put good energy out there and then it comes back to you. And that's a very Eastern philosophy.
If you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out these curated playlists that we've made especially for you related to the subject that was spoken about in this clip.